Hey guys, Kirby Liesmann here with Kirby School Awake, and right now I'm on one of my customers' 2026 Nautique G23 Paragon, and just want to give you a quick review of some of the things I like and some things I'm not the biggest fan of, and yeah, just show you some of the features. So starting off with kind of talking about the wakeboard and wake surf wave capabilities. The wakeboard and wake surf wave is great for very high level expert riders. Now, I did have a very hard time dialing it down for intermediate or beginner level especially, but for the high level rider, it's very steep, it's very powerful, and yeah, that's probably one of the boats that the pro riders prefer the most. But let's be honest, like, what is the ideal level of participant that we're going to be getting out on these type of boats? And it's going to be more entry level or intermediate, but still great wave performing for the high level rider. And the reason I struggled with the entry level beginner riders for wakeboarding especially is because I had a really hard time getting the nose of the boat to come down. So like throttling up, the boat just comes up and it just stays up and it makes a huge plow. And for shaping the wave, for beginner jumps one wave or another, there wasn't a way to kind of get the boat to list over without adding ballast or having people move over. And even then we had to go pretty fast to get that wave to clean up, and it was gigantic. So if there was a way for them to use the NCRS plate to kind of bring that down, to table it off, it would work a lot better. But me and my limited time on the boat was not able to figure that out. Then with the wake surf wave, it just seemed to me like you either had a low steep wave or a tall steep wave. So there really wasn't like a different shape of wave. It was the same shape the whole time, just depending on how high you want it to be. So even though it has 1 through 10, we never went past a 4 on the wave setting. So it's kind of a WTP setting to me. What's the point? Why do you have more than 4 or 5 if nobody surfs but a 6, 7, 8, or 9, or 10? So that's just my personal observation from it. I wrote it at like a 2 and on the surf wave, and it definitely has a lot of push. But like I said, that curl just stays in the wave like pretty much all the way up to the boat. So I was having a little trouble getting dialed on my stuff too. But when you want to launch out of it, get some air, it's got plenty of kick for that. So that's kind of my overview of the wave performance. But as far as like being in the boat, obviously the fit and finish is amazing because it's a $500,000 boat. It should be. But on the interior, I did notice this particular panel here, this vinyl, reminds me a lot of what the same vinyl was in 2012, and it's very easy to puncture or scratch. I've seen some of them have some gouging in there, but I mean, this reverse seat here, the lounger flips up nice and easy, rolls back pretty smooth, and then you got a nice big transom walk through. These seats flip up and they have a huge backrest, so if you really like lounging, that's cool. Obviously you can't really ride with those up and someone sitting back here, but it does seem like a huge interference if you're trying to get from the front of the boat to the back. But ultimately, the gear storage with being able to pop into here, and you have all your boards stored in these little sleeves, that's pretty convenient. This customer decides to put all their life jackets in this one, so that works pretty well. So huge compartment, definitely a convenience there with those hatches. The tower is pretty nice. I like the bimini. The storage on top is nice. It's like really set up well for being able to put a foil and get it strapped down well. It's easy to get to the pylon to hook your rope up, and the tower is pretty sick. I mean, obviously it's telescoping tower. I wasn't the biggest fan of how when you hit the button to put it up, if you just keep hitting the button, it keeps pushing up. Like, you got to know when to stop it. Other than that, it goes up and down pretty easily. This is a little bit tough, this canopy. When we had a little bit of wind, it just sounds like rain because it's like tapping on the bars. And when we were driving, this tower is so beefy. There was a little bit of clunking and moving, but the biggest thing I noticed is that as we were going through some white caps, this whole panel of this boat just flexes in and out. I don't know if that's by design or what, but it definitely seems like it could be a weak point possibly because of the like overall weight of the tower. Not sure, maybe that's how they want it to be as far as a flex point, but I did notice a lot of shake there. And then with the internal gauge system here and the display, it's set up really well. Easy to get in and out of rider profiles. I just wish that there was more things that are on the quick selection keypad on the screen, so you had the option to choose one or the other. But ultimately, like setting up ballast settings and changing, you know, rider profiles was pretty easy. As far as the thruster goes, I did not like having it automatically kicking on and off when I was around the dock as far as the thrusters. But it was nice having it to where I could reach up to the screen and make a small adjustment coming in and out of the dock, because this boat, it's a beefy boat and it is difficult to maneuver without those thrusters. So I just wish they had it integrated into the throttle, because it's just difficult to go from your hand being on the throttle and then coming into the dock and have to take your hand off the throttle and going up to the screen. So you're, you know, for an amateur, you know, wake boat driver, like they may leave the boat in gear and reach up to the screen and accidentally bump the throttle at full speed. So there's just some safety things there that just kind of was a little alarming to me. But overall, the screen functionality, the display, looks really good. It functions great. And yeah, I was pretty happy with that. One thing that took me a minute was the start and stop button. So there's this weird configuration, like you have to just tap it to shut everything off, but hold it to start it, and then it's kind of reverse going back the other way. So there were times when I was like trying to start the boat and I'd power the whole thing off. There'd be times I'd be trying to power the whole boat off and then I would start it. So it took me a minute to get that figured out. I feel like there's some adjustments that probably could be made there to make it a little better, but ultimately, you know, the boat ride and drives nice when you're on the water, but we got coming back in kind of on a rougher day, and it definitely slaps. Like, it's not cutting through the waves like butter. Like, it was a lot of jarring. I had to stand up from the seat because I felt sciatic nerve situation coming on, like, oh yeah, not gonna mess with that today. So it definitely has a big flat bottom that takes those waves pretty solid. It doesn't just cut through them like butter. So yeah, that's kind of my quick overview of the G23 Paragon. This one's a 2026. I've spent about 20 hours on it, and then when she had a 2024, I was on that one for about 100 hours. So I spent a lot of time on this particular model and size. And yeah, like I said, there's a lot of things I like about it, and some things that I'm not the biggest fan of. So kind of going to be how it's going to go with any of these boats, as you kind of learn how to ride and drive them. But ultimately, you know, if you're paying this kind of money, you're going to be getting a nice boat. But there's a lot of other boats out there in that price range that you'd want to check out, just to kind of compare and to find out, you know, which one fits the needs for you and your family and your preferences. So thanks for watching.